Joanne Rowling majored in mythology in Exeter University in England. She has borrowed not only from pagan religions, Celtic religions, the religions of the Druids, witchcraft, Satanism, a lot of the spells, the incantations, the philosophy behind the mythology and the religions is being put into Harry Potter's books. Yes, Harry Potter may be fictional, but there is a lot of religious teaching in symbols that perhaps the reader doesn't always pick out. The actual word Potter, if you ask a pagan, a witch, any knowledgeable expert in the occult or hidden arts, the potter is the female goddess, the goddess of Babylon, who is considered the potter who created human beings from clay. And they believe that the patriarchal God of Christianity, the God of Israel, copied that in a very poor imitation because he cannot give birth. Now listen to how important that is to understand. The feminine-oriented cult of witchcraft sees the woman and her process of birth as fundamental in the new life, the transformation, the alchemy, the changing of the inner man to higher consciousness, which is what Harry Potter is all about. In fact, that's what the first book is called, The Sorcerer's Stone, the alchemy of being transformed and changed through the inner man to become a new creature, which is again an upside-down reversal of what a Christian believes, that when they come into understanding a relationship, a personal relationship with Christ, they are transformed and take on the mind of Christ. The concept of fertility-based cults, feminine-oriented cults such as witchcraft, is the concept that the new birth can take place inside through meditation. You have inner transformation, inner wisdom, inner knowledge. And all this is done through concentration, visualization, all through Harry's books. Hermione and others say, concentrate, Harry. If you concentrate hard enough, you can have what you want. One of the arguments is that Harry Potter's series does not actually teach witchcraft, that it is not teaching the concepts of Mother Goddess and her consort, the Horned God, which is essential to the fertility cults or the fertility-oriented witchcraft religion. And yes, there are the concepts of Mother Goddess being taught, because Harry's mother gave her life for Harry. The sacrificial death that she gave through love is a symbolism of goddess worship. It's an inversion, if you will, of God the Father, whose Son gave his life in love for his people. Now, the concept of teaching Mother Goddess is very, very important. Harry's mother gave her life for Harry so that he should be saved. And through this love sacrifice, Harry was protected from death. Now, this concept is brought up several times. In fact, it is so important in witchcraft and pagan thinking that Voldemort, Harry's arch enemy, takes a vial of blood from Harry in book number 4 in order to have the blood run through his own veins in order that he can be resurrected and have a body. That is how powerful the blood sacrifice is. Another scary aspect of black magic is shape changing. The concept of being able to become an animal, change into an animal. Harry's father appears to Harry in a shape change later on. Even though he's dead, he appears as a stag, the horned god. So here we have the concept that shape changing is very normal. It is horrible. And the Bible clearly says that we are made as human beings when God created us, and we cannot become something else. You might perceive you're becoming something else, but it's supernatural deception. The evil Lord Voldemort also went to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with Harry's parents. And we're not awfully sure what the reasons are, but for perhaps jealousy, because Harry's parents represented practicing the white side or the good side of magic. Voldemort, at the birth of Harry, wanted to kill Harry and Harry's parents. But somehow in this horrible battle, some of Voldemort's powers came to Harry, and Harry got a death curse, a bolt of lightning, on his forehead as a mark of the curse from Voldemort. Also, another interesting thing happened. Harry also acquired a power that he was able to talk to snakes, which is the same gift that the evil Lord Voldemort has. There is a connection with the talking snakes. Voldemort always represented as a snake, and by the way, both of them, Harry and Voldemort, share the power of the phoenix tail in their wand, and the phoenix, again, is a symbol of resurrection. Witchcraft is a religion. It gets tax-exempt status. It has a military chaplain. It is recognized as a religion, a practicing religion. It is the fastest growing religion in America, incidentally, as well.
I regard myself as a natural witch. I regarded myself as a witch since early childhood. I was brought up in a very isolated part of the country, on the Welsh border, which has a long tradition of magic and Welsh sorcerers.
Since I have been practicing the craft, there has been a great revival. There are probably now as many people practicing witchcraft as there are Christians.
It's almost as if there's a kind of grassroots feeling back towards paganism. We live in a kind of post-Christian era almost, and that people are moving towards a kind of neo-paganism, I suppose.
Witchcraft is the religion of the countryside. It's the religion of very old forms of knowledge. And paganism is a religion which is a very old form of knowledge too. But paganism covers more than witchcraft covers. Witchcraft is, if you like, a division of paganism.
Well, witchcraft is basically a nature religion. We worship the gods of the woods and the fields.
Those who practice witchcraft choose to believe there is no Satan and therefore no evil spirits. Yet they report experiencing spiritual powers from which they receive their power. Refusing to label these powers evil, they choose to believe their origin is either from nature or natural from within, but neutral.
When I was a child, I was very aware of nature's spirits, those which are called diva or local gods.
We learn as practicing witches to tap into forces of nature and to actually, if you like, send out a spell or an invocation in a very powerful way.
The primary offer of witchcraft is power, a very seductive power. One day, a young 18-year-old girl came to see me. Her life was almost ruined by her preoccupation with witchcraft, but she would not give that power up because it was the only power in her life that she could count on. Another young man came to see me and said, "I know how powerful these forces are, and I look at the lives of Christians, and I think my power is more powerful than what they're experiencing." One of the most disturbing things about the Harry Potter books is it teaches children that witchcraft is for children. It does this by allowing children to read about other children in a school setting and watching these children learn how to use spells and all the other elements of witchcraft. It teaches these children that witchcraft is just not for adults, but that children can access this power and use this power also. If you say there is no real power in witchcraft, then you should have no problem with the Harry Potter books. But there are two problems with your line of reasoning. First of all, you're denying the experience of hundreds of thousands of people who have practiced witchcraft through the ages. Plus, you're saying that God's warning in the Bible about divination, sorcery, and all the elements of witchcraft is actually worthless.
In Deuteronomy chapter 18, it states, "There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee." In 1 Samuel chapter 15, God identifies witchcraft as a sin, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
Despite God's warning, many youth, including Christian youth, don't see much harm in witchcraft. So they see their friends casting spells and being involved in all manner of witchcraft and do not understand the dangers. They do not know that they're opening doors in their life to spirits which will come in and create very compulsive behaviors. And this is why many in witchcraft are compulsively into drug usage, and to sexual activity, and all manner of conduct which is very destructive. And yet, why should they be concerned when they hear nothing from the adults that warn them of what's coming? When a child is captured by witchcraft, they rarely choose to get out until very much later in their life, after they have lived a very miserable existence.
The giant introduces Harry to the paraphernalia of witchcraft that Harry is going to now use in his boarding school, Hogwarts. And this is done in Diagon Alley, which is a sort of spiritual occult supermarket, flea market, if you will, a street filled with shops of cauldrons, owls, robes, wands, all the paraphernalia that is used today by witches in their rituals and ceremonies and spells today. So the reader is vicariously introduced to the tools of the trade that form the basis of the religion of witchcraft. Many have argued that Joanne Rowling is not teaching the children witchcraft and the books are not about witchcraft because the spells aren't legitimate spells, and because J.K. Rowling just pulls out very, very funny Latin words, and she obviously knows her Latin, and she's very humorous with the way that she tosses out expelloramus, which gets rid of a spell, or any of the other numbers of spells that she puts in Latin.
Petrificus totalis.
The principle is that if you learn certain words, you can have power. And the books, the Harry Potter series, are connected to websites that get you into arenas where there are experts at teaching you the spells, the legitimate spells. What the reader is being introduced into in Harry is that there is legitimacy in rituals and spells, which are a sort of another word, let's say, of repetitive prayers, as Jesus said in Matthew, that don't be like the Gentiles and the pagans that just repeat their prayers for what they want.
Queen of heaven, queen of hell, horned hunter of the night, lend your power unto our spell, and work our will by magic right.
This is what spells are, repetitive prayer, which sort of induces a self-hypnosis that gives you the idea that your inner potential power, your psychic abilities, can bring about what you are visualizing in your head.